morning.
It sounds extremely dramatic.
A pollen bomb, it sounds horrific, doesn't it?
What's going on?
Well, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is it's going to start getting warmer from tomorrow into next week. But the bad news is that when the temperatures start rising, so do the pollen counts. And today and tomorrow, the pollen counts are going to start rising. High today, according to the Met Office. Very high tomorrow. So if you're a hay fever sufferer, look out tomorrow. But all happening at once when the trees, this is a tree pollen problem.
Right.
And so that is where the term pollen bomb comes from, because all of a sudden we've come out of the wettest March in 40 years and a miserable April, and we're going into warmer weather, and all of a sudden the trees start spewing out their pollen all at once and we all start sneezing.
Is this very early, Nathan? I feel like April, I'm a hay fever sufferer. I really suffer with it. But it does feel quite early this year.
I don't think it's especially... I'm a hay fever sufferer as well. I get it really badly. I think it all depends on when the temperatures start rising and what sort of weather we've had going up to that. We've had very damp weather. The trees love that. The grasses love that. And it's all coming out now. So it's sort of, you know, I really expect we're mid-spring now, so it's about the time you'd expect to see this happening. But it's all coming at once this weekend, which is the problem.
Yeah, so what happens then, as soon as the weather changes, which we're expecting on Monday, aren't we? A bit of a miserable week. Does that mean it's going to chuck it down and bed the pollen down a little bit?
Well, it's funny you should say that. Actually, on Monday, we're expecting higher pressure, which means we're getting better weather next week. So it's going to start turning warmer. Don't hold me to it, but should be warmer through the week and drier. But the weather does affect pollen in lots of interesting and weird and wacky ways. Now, you mentioned the rain. That can bring pollen that's raised up into the sky back down to nose level. So if you get rain, you can actually get worse pollen.
Right.
And if you get a thunderstorm, you can get thunder fever, which is the pollen grains, which are tiny and get up your nose and irritate them. When there's a thunderstorm and lightning, they can split into smaller, more irritable particles, get up your nose, and you can notice your hay fever getting worse during a thunderstorm. It's called thunder fever.
So we've got thunder fever, potentially.
From a pollen bomb.
We've got pollen bombs.
Yeah.
We're blaming tree pollen. What about grass? There's grass pollen and flower pollen, and it all just affects us slightly differently.
They do affect slightly different. The grass pollen and the fungal spores as well. They're all they're all low at the moment.
Oh, excellent.
They're all low. It's tree pollen.
And
it's hornbeam, ash and birch and little oak that you've got to worry about this weekend.
Right.
Okay. And what are the areas...
Little oak.
Only the little ones.
Only the little ones, yeah. Big ones are not so bad.
What are the areas that are going to be most affected?
So today it is going to be Western England. So if you take the West Midlands westwards and downwards, that's going to be high today. That's according to the Met Office's pollen count. And tomorrow, very high, pretty widely, actually, across the country in Scotland as well. You've got tomorrow, which is Sunday, Edinburgh high, Belfast medium, Leeds, London, very high. Pollen counts tomorrow in Cardiff high, so pretty much everywhere tomorrow is going to be a grim day for pollen sufferers.
Oh, right. But you see,
No escape. Do you suffer with hay fever?
I've started a little bit as I've got older.
Have you?
But it's not horrific. But it's not horrific. I'm not a streaming eyes. I just get a bit of a runny nose.
Yeah. Powder sprays.
I was about to say, have you got any tips?
Yeah, well, there are some tips, actually. This is from Haymax, these tips. Close your windows. Vacuum. Wrap around sunglasses. There you go. Fitting.
Please.
Really?
Wash your hair when you come in, because pollen can get caught in your hair, so wash it, come in. Obviously, see pharmacists and doctors for advice about hay fevers, but nasal barriers and nasal sprays and all those sorts of things are available to us.
Antihistamines and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They do seem to work, but I'm just blown away, excuse the pun, by the fact that rain can make it worse.
Yeah, it can bring it down to nose level. Right. It rises.
And I find it fascinating that it depends on the time of day as well, as you were saying. So it's the morning and
the evening.
Traditionally,
it's morning and evening, because that's when plants and trees and things spit out their pollen.
Spit out? You're not a fan. It's very good for the world.
Pollen?
Pollen, yeah.
Is it? Well, it helps things grow, yeah. I think there's a plus side to everything, Stephen, and yes, if it weren't for pollen, we wouldn't be here. So
just get out of bed either earlier or later, and get home earlier or later, and
wash your hair.
And wash your hair and take an antihistamine, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Nathan. Good to
Thank
see
you.
Very much indeed.
Pollen bomb. I'm not looking forward to that.
No, I love it though. I love it because they've done that a bit with weather lately, haven't they? They've made things sound more dramatic.
Oh, there's bombs and explosions and thunder, snow we've had, and all sorts of things.
Snow, yeah.
Well, I'm a weather journalist, so I love talking about this sort of stuff and making it exciting. All those terms. I think meteorologists are a bit more.
Is that the most
relaxed about their attitude towards
It's the most British job ever, isn't it? Just
talking about the weather.
About the weather all day long.
Perfect.
Well,
amazing.
It always keeps people interested.
Yeah, and we love it.
Talking about it.
We love it when you come in.
It's going to be nice for the Grand National, is it, today, Natry?
Don't hold me to it. Should be. Not today's a bit cool and wet, but it's tomorrow into Monday and next week it's getting better.
Right.
OK.
Lovely. No, we've got our Mondays
better for
without
me.
you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Still to come, we'll bring you more about the Grand National.